My name is Ethan Michael Reynolds, and I was 16 years old when everything changed. On a Sunday morning in November of 2017, I died on the wooden floor of our church with 2 bullets in my back and the sound of screaming all around me. I wasn't anyone special, just a small-town kid from Texas who played football on Friday nights, complained about homework, and sat in the same pew every Sunday morning because my parents made sure of it. Life in our little town was simple. My dad worked at the feed store, my mom taught 2nd grade, and our house was the kind of white-painted place you'd see in an old picture book. My dog, Rusty, would nap on the porch during the summer, and I thought life would always be predictable. Sure, I grumbled about dressing up for church, but deep down, I loved the warmth of our congregation. The church felt like family. That morning started like any other. Pancakes on the table, Dad sipping his coffee, me texting my girlfriend about hanging out after service. We piled into the truck for the 5-minute ride to First Baptist, and I took my usual seat in the 4th row. Pastor had just begun preaching on loving your enemies when I heard a sound that didn't belong. A gunshot, then another. The sanctuary exploded in chaos. Screams, people diving under pews, children crying. I turned and saw him, a man dressed in black, rifle raised, firing into the crowd. My body reacted before my brain had time to process. Instead of ducking, I jumped up and ran straight toward him. I wasn't thinking about being brave. I was thinking about the children behind me, about my parents sitting just rows away, about the families who didn't deserve to die. The first bullet tore into my shoulder, spinning me around. The second ripped into my back, and I collapsed hard on the floor. Blood filled my mouth, my vision dimmed, and the last thing I heard was my mother's scream. Then everything went quiet. But I wasn't gone. I was floating. One moment I was on the floor in pain, and the next I was above it all, looking down at my own body, pale and still, lying in a pool of blood. I saw my father pressing his hands against my wounds, my mother clinging to me, praying desperately. Paramedics rushed in, but I felt no pain. Instead, I felt peace. A golden light pulled me upward, stronger and more real than anything I had ever known. And then I saw him. Jesus. No Sunday school painting, no movie, no imagination could have prepared me for him. His presence was overwhelming. His eyes, those eyes, burned with love so pure it undid me. When he looked at me, I felt as if he knew every secret I had ever hidden, every mistake, every failure, and yet he loved me still. Tears streamed down my face, not of sadness, but relief, like I'd finally dropped a burden I never knew I carried. "Ethan," he said, his voice rich and warm, "my brave son." I could barely speak. All I managed was a sob. He touched my face, and waves of love surged through me, greater than anything I had ever experienced. It felt like sunlight poured straight into my soul. "You saved 12 people today," he told me gently. "Your courage stopped him from reaching the children." I hadn't even thought about that. I only reacted. But Jesus knew. He knew everything. Then his face grew serious. "I need to show you something." Suddenly the warmth and light shifted. I was standing on the edge of a place darker than anything words can describe. The air was thick and foul. Screams echoed from every direction. And there, in the pit of shadows, was the man who had just killed me and so many others. The shooter. He was in agony, tormented not only physically but emotionally, fully aware of the devastation he had caused. Every life stolen, every family shattered. He felt it all, endlessly. Jesus' voice was steady, but sorrow filled it. He chose this path. Each time he embraced anger over forgiveness, each time he silenced my voice calling to him, each time he surrendered to hatred, he was walking toward this place. And he wasn't alone. I saw others, men and women who had carried out violence in schools, churches, and homes, all trapped in the same torment. Demons surrounded them, mocking, whispering every evil deed back to them. I turned to Jesus, my heart breaking. Lord, couldn't you have stopped them? Couldn't you have saved them? He looked at me with sadness deeper than anything I've ever felt. I called to them, Ethan. I sent people to show them love. I gave them countless chances. But love cannot be forced. It must be chosen. And they rejected it. He showed me the unseen battle, angels trying to whisper peace and truth, while demons stirred hatred, feeding lies and bitterness. Every time someone planned violence, the war raged in the unseen realm. Every attack on my people, Jesus said, his voice resonating with authority, is an attack on me. Then the scene changed again. I saw light breaking through. I saw the souls of those who had died in the church rising upward into radiant joy. They were smiling, whole, and glowing with life beyond measure. Families reunited, laughter restored. They are martyrs, Jesus said. They died in my house seeking me. Their reward is beyond imagination. Then he turned back to me, his expression urgent. He placed his hands on my shoulders, his eyes piercing mine. This is why I'm sending you back. My people must know the truth. They must not let fear scatter them. Satan wants them afraid, divided, and silent. But I call them to stand, to gather, to worship, without fear. And you will tell them this. I wanted to protest, to beg to stay in his presence, but deep down I knew he was right. My story wasn't over. I felt a pull, like a current dragging me backward, but Jesus held me close one last time. Ethan, he said softly, do not be afraid. I am with you always. Tell my people, keep gathering, keep worshiping, keep bringing their children to me. Do not let fear win. And then he added, his voice firm yet full of mercy, those who choose violence will answer to me. Perfect justice awaits them. But even now, even for those planning evil, my mercy is greater if they will turn to me while they still breathe. The next thing I knew, I was gasping, choking on blood, surrounded by flashing lights and frantic voices. A paramedic shouted, "We've got him back!" My mom clutched my hand, crying, her tears falling onto my face. I had been dead for 19 minutes, no heartbeat, no brain activity. Doctors said it was impossible I came back without damage, but I knew why. Jesus had sent me back with a mission. Recovery was fast, almost too fast, but my heart carried the weight of what I'd seen. For weeks, I couldn't speak of it without breaking down in tears. The memory of his eyes, his love, it made everything else feel small, fragile. Eventually, I began to share, first with my parents, then with other survivors, and finally with anyone willing to listen. The shooter had taken 26 lives that day, but my reckless dash toward him gave several families the seconds they needed to escape. 12 people lived because of it. Yet that isn't why I tell my story. I tell it because Jesus asked me to deliver a warning and a promise. The warning is this: hell is real. I've seen it. It's filled with people who fed their anger, clung to hate, and chose violence over love. It is torment beyond imagination. But the promise is greater. Heaven is real too. Every soul who died in that church is alive in paradise, more joyful than ever before. Love wins, always. So I beg you, don't let fear keep you from faith. Don't let anger rot your heart. If you're tempted by hatred, hear me. That path ends in darkness. And if you're afraid to step into God's house, remember what Jesus told me. His presence makes it a sanctuary, not because harm will never come, but because his victory is eternal. I died for 19 minutes. I saw both hell and heaven. And I came back with one message: choose love, choose Jesus, while there is still time.